Welcome first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli, where we believe that less is more. The acronym LESS stands for leadership, equality, education, social, and sport issues. With each episode, thoughtful conversations and insightful guests are always tops on the menu. The Sports Deli is sponsored by SportRx, the leader in sport prescription eyewear. Give them a buzz at 888-831-5817 and let them know the Sports Deli sent you for your 10% discount. Or if you order online, you can go to sportrx.com and enter the code DELI10. That's DELI10. If you have any questions, you can email them at info@sportrx.com, or there's a live chat feature online and you can talk with a live optician. And what separates SportRx from all the other companies out there, not only do they have live opticians that you're going to be speaking with, their knowledge about your specific needs is hands down second to none. Whether you're a regular golfer, you're a hack, or you're a pro golfer, whether you're playing high school or college football, or you're a professional athlete, you're out walking with your kid and your dogs, whatever your needs are for men, women, or kids, they will take care of you. So again, give them a call at 888-831-5817 or go online at sportrx.com. If you want to send us an email, you can always do so to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and you can DM us on Instagram at Mike Hootner and on Twitter at Michael Hootner. So grab your favorite deli sandwich or bagel and your favorite beverage, and let's do this together in the Sports Deli. And if this is your first trip into the Sports Deli, we encourage you to listen to the next 10 minutes as we will chronicle the co-host, Dr. J, and myself, Hootie Hoot, with an introduction in terms of our background and who we are and why we started this whole thing. And if you're a returner, feel free to fast forward to the 13-minute and 49-second mark. And we will continue with today's Sports Deli podcast. Dr. J hails to us from Maryland. He currently resides in upstate New York. He's a proud graduate of Bethesda Chevy Chase High School in Maryland. He's a sports junkie and sports fanatic by his own admission. He loves his Washington teams, the Wizards, the Washington football team, the Nationals and Capitals. I remember in college he used to brag all the time about how the Washington football team had a 41-year waiting list. And maybe they're back on track after reaching the playoffs this year in 2020. He loves politics and is definitely the reason I became interested in politics, because he's just as passionate and fanatical about politics as he is about sports, probably largely as a result of his parents' influence on him. His dad was a lawyer, and his mom worked for the government her entire life, and I just loved learning from him because I didn't really know much about it before I got to Goucher, and so I have John to thank for why I'm so interested and passionate about politics, especially since my college days. He's working on his EDD in higher administration. He's got a master's degree from the University of South Carolina. As a freshman at the University of Kentucky, he won third place in a Rick Pitino lookalike contest. He can recognize the face of just about any athlete, and he has been photographed with the likes of Dick Vitale, Jimmy V, Rick Pitino, Jerry Tarkanian, and Steve Spurrier. Oh yeah, and of course yours truly several times, Mike Hootner, Hootie Hoot, your co-host here in the Sports Deli. He loves golf, even though he thinks he's better than he is, but he is willing to play any course in the world. He is fearless in that way. Just let him know the time and place, and he will be there. He's played in Scotland, Mexico, Spain, the United States, and other countries, and he's played the Old Course, Torrey Pines, the Ocean Course, Pebble Beach, and Doral. And as for myself, Hootie Hoot, I hail to you from Detroit, Michigan. I'm a proud graduate of Oak Park High School. I love my sports teams, the Pistons, the Lions, the Red Wings, and the Detroit Tigers. I had amazing friends growing up on Leslie Street there in Oak Park. I played 5 sports in high school, including baseball and tennis, basketball, cross country, and soccer. And a quick blurb about my high school experience. I went from a private school to a public school in fifth grade, and that's when I really started to feel like I was able to come out of my shell and really be comfortable in my own skin. And mad props to everybody that was a part of my life in Oak Park for the first 18 years, from Pepper. Another unbelievable influence in my life was when I played youth sports, and Mr. Emmanuel, who I'm still friends with today, uh, just loved us. He was an African American coach. I never felt like he was treating me any differently. And, I had a tough time growing up for a number of reasons. And he was always there. He was always tough. He always demanded that we, just work hard and gave everyone a fair shot to, play in our basketball games. And it's always fun to go back and visit Mr. Emmanuel and his son, who's still a good friend of mine after all these years, Dave. To Roosevelt, to high school, from Mr. Sternberg in middle school in particular. He was tough, but he was tough on everyone. Mr. Golding, my seventh grade history teacher, who has been an advocate my entire life and a wonderful support system for me. To all my friends and acquaintances in that Oak Park school system. I know it wasn't easy for a lot of people, but during those years between fifth grade and 12th grade, that's when I felt most comfortable being who I was, and I really came out of my shell. And I just love my experience. The other thing I wanted to mention as far as sports goes, I played junior varsity um, as a junior for both baseball and basketball, which I got a lot of flack for it because people were like, "Why would you even waste your time?" And I just wanted to play. I didn't care if I was on varsity or junior varsity. I just wanted a shot, and I appreciated the opportunity to play junior varsity baseball and basketball as a junior, and then I ended up making the varsity both for the baseball and basketball teams as a senior, and that helped me to continue my dream to play college basketball. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that I got cut 3 times, and when I talk to kids, I always mention this because a lot of times you can learn more about yourself from loss and from getting cut and trying to prove a coach wrong than you can from being given a handout or simply making a team because you know someone or because you're tall or whatever. And I got cut in middle school. I got cut in high school as a sophomore, and I got cut in college my first year. And every time, the year after that, because I was so motivated and I had a why, and that why was whether I was too white, I was the only white guy on the varsity team in high school on my basketball team, or people said I was too short at 5'7", or whatever the case may be. But I had a why. My dad committed suicide when I was 9 years old. I had a lot of reasons to be upset and find intrinsic motivation to prove everybody wrong and say F the world. So for those of you out there that are listening that maybe have gotten cut, maybe have had bad experiences or some really bad things happen to you, just know that there's a lot of people out there just like you that have gone through hardships and had to battle adversity during their lifetime. And that's truly what's going to be a test of your character, is if you can get through those things, because if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. I graduated in 1987 and made my way west, where I attended San Diego Mesa College, where I played college basketball for 2 years for the Hall of Fame coach James Mulvihill. I learned to play tennis at a higher level from the legendary professor at San Diego Mesa, Dr. Reeves, who really helped me with my backhand in particular and creating more spin on my forehand. And as a result of that, when I transferred to Goucher College and played on the first team in the history of the men's basketball team there in 1990, I also, as a senior, played intercollegiate tennis. I played 5 singles and 2 doubles, and was all conference in doubles uh, with my doubles partner, Scott. And from there, I went to start my college coaching career. I got my master's degree from Frostburg State University. I coached for an amazing coach who I learned a tremendous amount from, not only on the court, but off the court, from Oscar Lewis. Um, and I have a beautiful daughter, Amelia. I'm a life coach. I also privately coach golf and tennis. I do a lot of private professional skills training in the sport of basketball. I've sent players overseas. Um, I coached men for 15 years, and I'm on my 14th year on the women's side, both at the collegiate level, and I currently coach at a low-income first-generation high school, the Proy School in La Jolla, California, for girls basketball. Um, Unlike John, I've never been married, and I've also been a college professor since 1992. And finally, wanted to give a big shout out to the person that's been there through all of my trials and tribulations, and my ups and my downs, and my successes, and who's been an amazing uh, rock to her mom and my grandmother, who's been living with us for the past few months during this pandemic, who lost her husband of 71 years recently, and a testament to the fact that family always comes first, and her continuous and endless love and support means the world to all of us, to me, to her granddaughter, Amelia, to her Pittsburgh family, to her sisters, who she speaks to with several times every day, to all her clients. She's been a psychotherapist for over 40 years, and just an incredible example of compassion and strength and courage and wisdom. So I know I speak for Dr. J that when we first started this endeavor, it was really to talk sports, and it's turned into much more than that. And if you haven't listened to any of our previous podcasts, we encourage you to do so. We've had some unbelievable guests, civil rights activists, WNBA players, NBA players, Division I coaches. We've had the former president of the NCAA on the podcast. We've had former Super Bowl MVP Doug Williams on the podcast. We've had special dedications to Breonna Taylor and the Black Lives Matter movement. We've had Jay Billis and Seth Greenberg from ESPN, former UCLA head coach Steve Lavin, Chris Moore, the CEO of the Positive Coaching Alliance, Kevin Eastman, former NBA coach. Just a phenomenal list of who's who in the world of sports. So thanks again for joining Dr. J and myself, Hootie Hoot, and just wanted to give you a little bit of background about who we are. So check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. And if you have any questions, as always, you can always send us an email or DM us. Now back to the Sports Deli.
We just moved back here from just outside New York City into this condo here that I was renting. And we got the floors done, the cabinets done. So we put the sink in. They put the sink in without the garbage disposal. Now it doesn't fit.
Oh my God.
So it's like, yeah, so that's where we are.
Oh boy. All right, we are joined by Mike Hartman, who hails to us from my hometown, Oak Park, Michigan. Even though he was told growing up that he was too slow, he was drafted 31st overall by the Buffalo Sabres in 1986. He went on to win a Stanley Cup championship with the New York Rangers in 1994. His inclusion on that 94 Rangers squad was originally denied by the NHL, but was later amended because Mark Messier and Mike Gardner fought for him and Ed Olczyk to be officially listed on the team. Known as a winger, enforcer, and protector, he played in 397 games during his NHL career while accumulating 1,288 penalty minutes. played for 7 different leagues over 21 years. And while in the NHL, he played for the Sabres, the Winnipeg Jets, now known as the Phoenix Coyotes, Tampa Bay Lightning, and of course, the New York Rangers. He believes in building relationships, being an active listener, and not burning any bridges. He's in the Michigan Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. His father was a team photographer for the Detroit Red Wings. He has his own podcast called The Mike Hartman Show. He has a birthday coming up on February 7th, which he shares with Ashton Kutcher, Steve Nash, Chris Rock, Charles Dickens, and Garth Brooks. He played with the likes of Pierre Turgeon, Dave Andrzejczyk, Mike Foligno, Ed Olczyk, and legends like Phil Bourque and Mark Messier. He works with the Amateur Athletic Union, the AAU. He has his own e-learning leadership Hartman Academy that has served over 15,000 people. You can find him on the web at www.hartman.academy. Yes, you heard me correctly. It ends with .academy, nothing else at the end. And you can find him on Twitter at Mike Hartman18 and on Instagram at MikeHartman.100. Mike, happy birthday and welcome to the Sports Deli.
Happy to be here.
So I got to ask you a random question first. So you were in Buffalo when the Bills went on their historic run of 4 Super Bowls in a row that they all lost. They lost all 4 of those. But you were there, if my numbers are correct, during the first of those 4. You were there during your last year in Buffalo. And so how was it to be in that city during that like extraordinary run by them, the start of that run, and how fan crazy was everybody between the Sabres and the Bills?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, I was a Bills fan and got to meet some of the guys. Like I knew Jim Kelly really well. In fact, I was in his football toss. They had to throw a football like so many yards in the summer through a target. And I was warming up with like Randall Cunningham and Dan Marino. And
wow,
here I was. Yeah. So he invited me. That was fun. In fact, what's Randall Cunningham? My hand was like I thought my hand was broken. He was just tossing it to me. And then we had a softball game and a dinner. So I was there during all those years. And I don't know, I told somebody recently, not too long ago, they said, what was one of your favorite places to live? And I said, Buffalo. And they laughed. I go, people have no idea what a great city it is. So I was there during those times. It'd be a blizzard and they'd go to the Bills game on Sunday. At nighttime, they'd go to the Sabres game. And we used to drive home on the 290, the I-90 also. And it didn't matter. The buildings were filled up for both. So I'm an overall fan of all sports, but Buffalo hits home to me because that was like my home.
Oh yeah, those fans are nuts. They're still nuts. They were out there last weekend having their shirts off.
We're out there right now, even still. Probably.
That's right. Absolutely, that's great. So let's rewind to how this all came about. You started out not necessarily having the total support of both parents. They were worried. Your mom especially was worried about you, and maybe it was just because she didn't want to see her son fail, or she thought academics was more important. And you had some things eventually set up in outdoors from your dad, and then in your grandma's house. So talk a little bit about the support that you had, and because I remember going to Mike Nodler's house, and he would always be playing, hockey in the basement, and just because in the wintertime, if you weren't going to Oak Park, the Oak Park rink, what else could you do?
Right. Well, he just messaged me, Mike Nodler, 2 days ago.
That's funny.
Yeah, he just messaged me. Well, I guess I was like any other kid, a lot of kids, not every kid. I wanted to be a hockey player or a baseball player when I was really young. Grew up in Oak Park and played recreational baseball. Still talk to this guy. Steve Clarifelt was my coach there.
Wow.
The guy. Still talk to Steve just last week. In fact, I mentioned him on my show about mentors that have helped you along the way, and he was great.
Yeah, Steve was amazing. Jeff, who was also one of the coaches, Jeff Feig, and Richard Maltz, the late Richard Maltz. My experiences on that team were great also. I think I played a couple years after you, but what those coaches did for the kids back then, and what they do now in places like Think Detroit, where Richard Resnick is the commissioner. We need wonderful mentors. I remember Mr. Randall was one of the coaches of those teams, and it was so competitive, and it taught us how to compete, how to win. Mr. Emmanuel, who I talked about earlier, it's just we had some amazing coaches when we were kids. You're listening to an interview with Mike Hartman, former Stanley Cup champion with the 1994 New York Rangers, right here in the Sports Deli. And now back to the interview with Mike Hartman.
I went to Toronto thinking I was going to play for Michigan State. Sean Walsh recruited me.
Wow.
And I had a bunch of other schools saying, we want to give you a scholarship to play. And Sean Walsh said, come to Michigan State. Harvard talked to me, but I wasn't passing that. The SATs were not going to get me there.
That makes two of us.
Yeah. Michigan talked to me and they says, well, Red Barrington said, we think you'd be a good fit here. And I committed to Michigan State. And then Sean Walsh left and went to Maine. And I had an agent who was Wayne Gretzky's agent, Dale Howard Chuck, and Ariel Lemieux. His name was Gus Badali. He says, listen, they want you in the OHL, and I think you'll get drafted in the first 3 rounds. So it didn't work out for me. I really struggled. I was almost done with hockey after that. I put all my eggs in one basket, and that basket broke. So
you got cut during one of your early tryouts, right? You and I have something in common there.
Yeah, when I was younger, I got cut from a bunch of teams, like when I was trying out for A hockey.
Yeah. So do you think that was your why? Do you think that motivated you more? Because a lot of people, nowadays quit, but there's a lot of people, even if they're playing basketball or other sports, listening to this show. I always talk about people's why. I got cut 3 times. I was livid every time, and that next year was miserable. But it also gave me the motivation to say, hey, you think I'm too short, too white, to play basketball or whatever the case may be. And I was like, how do you like me now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that motivated me a little bit as well. I was cut, but I really loved the game. I wasn't thinking about, I was a late bloomer, even in hockey, where it took me a while to adapt to the AAA level. So at each level, I finally got there. I struggled at that level. And for me, yes, my why was, I always had a dream. I told my parents I'm going to play 1 game in the NHL. So I have a good story. I'm going to share it on my podcast, but I love your show, so I could share it. So I was in the 6th grade, and I was struggling in school. It took me a while. It took me about 10th grade to really start doing well in Canada and really going to the next level. So I was going to Norup in the Berkeley School District.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And Mr. Novak he's a really nice guy. I don't ever want to look back on what somebody said or did, but I think his name was Mr. Novak. He was the music teacher. We played violin in school. Wow. So one day we put the violins away. Everyone had to stand up and say, what are they going to be when they grow up? So one person stands up and they said, I'm going to be a lawyer. Another person said, I'm going to be a doctor. Oh, I'm going to be a fireman. And when I got up, I said, I'm going to be a hockey player. He goes, Mr. Hartman, sit down. He goes, the chances are 1 in millions that you're going to make it.
Wow.
And I said, well, I don't agree with you. But I was playing for the Berkeley Shamrocks A, so I wasn't that good. So I said, well, Mr. Novak, I don't agree with you. He says, it's impossible for you to do it. Impossible. It's impossible for someone to be in a rock band. Because I said, Mr. Novak, it's impossible for you. So I got in trouble when I said that.
Yes.
That's what I said. So I got in trouble. My father didn't like it. Disrespectful, yes. But then I went on, and I like challenges. Maybe it was an insecure thing. I like to be challenged. You want to challenge me? Okay. And as I learned, probably I started developing as a young man, as we were getting older towards high school, and then moved around a lot. And finally, it worked out. I ended up making it. So I don't want to be disrespectful to the teacher. I think realistically, he was trying to teach us that we have to have something other than sports or to be in a rock band. But for me, I looked at it and I don't take it back to this day. I did get in trouble. My dad nowadays, probably be arrested, but he put me against the wall and said, you ever respect an adult like that or a teacher again, you'll be done and you're not going to play sports and yada, yada. So that's what happened.
Yes, that's interesting. So I've always said that hockey is the hardest sport of all the sports to play. Now, it may not have the following as some of the other major sports, but it's basically basketball on skates. And if people listening have never been to a hockey game, I don't care if it's game 2 out of 82. There is nothing like going to a hockey game. And if you're fortunate enough to be sitting in the first couple of rows where you have the opportunity to be banging on the glass, there's fights. I mean, obviously they changed the rules a little bit as far as fighting goes, but being from Hockey Town, there was nothing like going with Marvin Oppenheimer to those games. And just Hockey Town, it was just something to behold, to watch games in person, because television will never do it justice ever.
It's true. I mean, it is the fourth major sport. Skating is difficult, and it's like riding a bike. You have to do it at a very young age.
Yes.
And that's maybe the difference. You're playing a game on skates, so it's hard if you try to pick it up at 15, 16 years old or 20 years old. I'm going to try to play hockey. It's tough.
But what did you learn in Buffalo that you took with you at your next destination?
Got to Buffalo and played for Scotty Bowman as a 19-year-old. And that was like a dream come true. Here I am, 19 years old, the youngest player on the team. And
9 Stanley Cups.
Yeah. It was,
wow.
It was special playing for him. You didn't think about it then, but you look back, and I learned a lot from him. You keep your mouth shut, you do your job, and you're always on your toes. Yeah, you get it.
That's right.
You're always like, you better be ready to go. Meaning, they say, like you said something earlier. You said life was like a marathon. I call it like life's many short sprints, because every day, if it was a marathon, you're exhausted, right? But if it's short sprints, every day, okay, it's up and down. You got to weather it. But if you are running a marathon in the NHL and you run out of gas, you're done.
You're done, so definitely. And so eventually you end up in New York, right? So you go from a city like Buffalo to, Madison Square Garden, and like the Knicks were doing well. Patrick Ewing was there. I mean, it was, Spike Lee's very happy at this point in time. Like, how was it now to be in New York when basketball was doing well? You were doing well. Obviously, you brought a Stanley Cup championship home to New York. Talk about that experience. It must have just been like so surreal. You're listening to an interview with Mike Hartman, former Stanley Cup champion with the 1994 New York Rangers. And Mike will now talk about his experience in New York right here in the Sports Deli.
What a great group of guys. It was a play for that team, and they traded a lot of guys at the end, and they told guys that I could have been traded and gone, and they kept me around, and I thank Mike Keenan to this day and Neil Smith for doing that. So great experience playing in New York. It's hard to explain. It's a whole different, when you play for New York, it's a whole different world. Crazy there.
What was it like after you guys won in 7 games? Like, and it must have just been madness.
It was crazy. It really was. It was it was amazing.
Was there a parade?
Oh, we had a parade, ticker tape parade. We had over 1 million people.
Oh my God!
And they were hanging out the windows. It was a hot day. It was a crazy time. If you remember that day we got a key from Rudy Giuliani. He gave us the key to the city, and then it was unbelievable. And we did all kinds of stuff with the team just for that whole week. Guys were taking batting practice with the Yankees, and I regret it to this day that I didn't go and do that.
Oh,
they said, who wants to go down and take practice? And 3 guys did, and I was like, man, I look back on that and I want to hit me.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy, but that was the same time when O.J. Simpson with the white,
Yeah,
rock.
right. Wow.
So it was just you're like in a blur. Like you're in did this really happen? We just won in New York after 54 years. And it's something that I'll never forget. It was just being a part of it. Sometimes I just can't believe it that I was really a part of that team and I stuck it out. I remember there's only 4 left wingers on a team, and thank goodness I could play the right and left side so they could fit me into the right or the left side when they needed some energy. Mike Keenan called us support players, and that's what we were. We go in and play 3 minutes, 10 minutes. One night I played a ton. The next minute I'm sitting out again. Had some really bad injuries. Almost lost my eye that year, which was really tough. But I broke my orbital bone. It was a very draining year. My daughter was born that year. It was just going back that year. It was just like it's crazy.
Yeah, and you had a lot of support of your teammates when you were going through a lot of different things. And how was it playing with Mark Messier?
Everybody has it's unbelievable. Like he didn't say it's not that he talked a lot, but when he said something, it really meant something, and he was always there for you. So he was in every situation. I remember, and this doesn't happen in the NHL. We were playing Florida Panthers, and we have usually Mess says, "Okay, I'm taking everybody out for dinner after the game." Okay, I said, "Mess, I have my mother here in Florida." He goes, "Okay." He said, "Yeah." I said, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to see my mother. I haven't seen her in a while and have some family here." And after the morning skate, I wasn't dressing, and he went right into Mike Keenan's office, and I was playing well, and I happened to score that night, and I played a lot, and he fought for me to play because I was playing really well. So you don't hear about that. I could tell so many stories about him, and not only him, Kevin Lowe. What a great guy he is, McTavish. You feed off of guys that won championships before, and you realize why they won. They make it about everybody else, and it was just great playing with some really good, not only great players but really good people.
Yeah, you talk about locker room guys, not just skilled players, but guys that are good in the locker room, care about you off the ice. And it sounds like you had good synergy, amazing synergy with that team. Probably in Buffalo also. It's just that you couldn't compare anything to that Rangers team. Were more fans Ranger or Islander fans?
Islander just said, "Well, it's funny because there are a lot of New York Islander fans. They're more towards the island in that area." But
that's right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, are there more Met fans than Yankee fans? And now I think Yankee Stadium. But I think they're both. I think it's mixed. But playing for like the New York Rangers, one of the original 6 teams, that makes it really special. I mean, playing in Madison Square Garden on a Thursday night, Friday night.
Wow.
Like, you have to look around and say, "Holy cow, I'm playing in Madison Square Garden against Wayne Gretzky."
Did you ever watch them do the makeover of the arena to the basketball arena? Like, did you watch that whole process ever?
Well, actually, it's funny because you would be surprised. We would play. There could be an afternoon game, and they can get the stadium ready for a Knicks night game. I mean, it's
crazy.
Yeah.
They used to talk about that all the time. Remember when there's only 3 television stations back then, they'd be like, "Yeah, they're getting Madison Square Garden ready for tomorrow's Knicks game." So talk a little bit about what you're doing now. So your time away from the ice, you're still involved with hockey, and also as your podcast indicates, you have a lot of different people that come on to talk about leadership and how they got to where they are.
It's going well. I've been doing it for a long time. Love it. Love helping people. And if anybody's, it's the Hartman Academy, like you said earlier. Thanks for promoting it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and it's something that I love to do. I've started working with. One day I was in a Starbucks, and a gentleman starts talking to me, and little did I know he's the CEO of a big bank without saying his name. And he hired me to do work, and I'm sitting somewhere else. I was introduced to a friend that bought, he's a friend, kind of an acquaintance friend. I worked with him. He bought 15 Planet Fitnesses, and they go for like $1 million a piece. And he hired me to do some work. Then it was referred, and I'm working with doctors, and started working with thousands of dentists and dental practices. So one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I said, "How did I get involved with this coaching?" I mean, it just evolved, and it's I loved it. It was it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it's helping people.
So if I said my business is not doing well and I came to you for help, I said I'm having personnel issues, my bottom line's not where it needs to be. What what do you do first to assess the situation, and then what's the best advice that you give to companies or people? Is it the parts first, and then the sum of the parts will be greater than the parts themselves? What's your philosophy under that umbrella?
Yeah, I'll give you the very short answer, and everything starts from the top. So if you have a business, I don't know a lot about mini dental implants. I told somebody I've learned it because the bone to the stent goes to the bone and they take it out, it clips in. I know a
Jesus
little bit about
Christ.
real estate because I worked with
Yeah.
like some real estate companies. But so what I've done, it's the process. And you have to be able to manage yourself as a leader. You have to be able to work on your communication well. You have to be able to listen to your team if you have so many employees. The average dental practice has between 10 and 30 in the office. And the dentist, if the dentist should be the dentist. But as soon as the dentist starts acting like the office manager, the dentist starts doing all these other things. Now they're trying to be the hygienist and they're trying to run this whole thing. Something's going to give.
Mhm.
So you maximize your potential. We call it maximize, what they do well, and you keep everybody aligned.
Mhm.
And it all starts with just the basics of building a baseline for the individuals at work. And it's not so much, okay, we're going to do leadership. It starts with the process. And believe it or not, I'm teaching people what I've learned as an athlete. We never had a cluttered dressing room. We were always organized. We were always prepared. You don't prepare for the game the the day of. You prepare the day before. And if you have a game the day before, you have a good meal. You're getting on the plane, you're getting in late, you take care of your sleep, you manage yourself. So those are just a few of the details, but I say it's all about the littlest things and details that's going to make you successful. And if you
Mhm.
don't buy in, it's not going to work. In fact, I've been around many businesses that people just they didn't buy into the leader of the company, and they're going to fail. It's inevitable that something's going to break down.
Mhm.
So we want to start, like I said, it's the simplest things. I use this analogy, and you're going to laugh, but the the coach of the Colorado Avalanche, Bob Hartley, the first day we were in camp in the minors in Hershey, he ended up moving up and coaching Colorado, won a Stanley Cup. He taught our players about offsides. Now we have first round picks, guys were sent down. He went over to the board and he says, I want to show you what offsides is. And everyone looked around, is he nuts? Like, what is he doing? But the purpose was he did that because he wanted to start with the very basics. So
Mhm.
I apply some of those same principles. You start with the very basics and you keep going, and eventually you're going to win a championship and have that championship mindset that we're going to cover the basics of what we're doing. And then from there, we're going to build this foundation, and we're going to go through a lot during the years. There's transformation, there's so many different things that we're going to go through, adversity. And we ended up winning the Calder Cup that year. I was the captain of that team, had a really bad tear in my stomach. Then it ended
Mm.
up that pretty much ended my hockey. But I watched him, and that's what it is. It's starting with the basic. I don't remember what football coach it was, but he showed his players how to carry a ball. I'm not a football guy, how to carry it on maybe his left under the left arm or however you do it. And
Right.
these are pros. And come on, really? But you start with a foundation. It's like building a house. You don't start with the roof or start with the bathroom. You build it with the pillars. So you have these different
Yeah.
pillars, and you build it, and it's one brick at a time. And the end result is you want to be on top. You want to have that championship mindset.
Yeah. Sounds like Dr. Novetzky with all of his philosophies on being the best at even the little things like flossing your teeth or brushing your teeth, things like that, and then everything sort of builds from there. And so it must feel really good to look back in a year or two after helping these companies to see that there's been that transformation and you were a part of that. And I hope that following up with you and thanking you for the things that you're doing to help them, because that's a lot of people do not ask for help, and it means you're a better man or a better owner or a better CEO if you do ask for those types of things when things aren't going well, just like in sports.
Well, I've had some really interesting things. So I was coaching a team. So they said, we want you to go to this site and we want you to see how they communicate because every year they lose people.
Mm.
So I said, what do I do? So I go up and I didn't realize it, but I go up on this ramp and they go, come on in here. And I go and they shut the door and it's open. I went up on one of those things up to
Oh
a
yeah.
skyscraper in New York City, crapping my pants. I've never done anything like that. And I was
Oh
working
my
with the
God.
elevator and I was sitting there saying, and I'm afraid of
Oh my
heights. I didn't sign up for this.
Oh shit.
But I've seen some pretty neat things, and it's getting everybody to work together
Mm.
as a team. You work together, and but I've had some really crazy experiences in a good way, and I've had the same relationships for many years. Good friend of mine, a guy that works at the bank, introduced me to many different people and businesses, and hockey has opened doors, and I'm fortunate, very fortunate in a good way to do what I do.
Yeah, they're lucky to cross paths with you for sure. You got endless number of experiences, and the next person you help, you take what you just learned from the previous experiences, and you can share it with them about how, hey, this is similar to what you're going through, and you guys can get through this.
Exactly. That's right. You, we say in sports, like you never get too high. You hear all the cliches. Don't get
Oh
too
yeah.
high, never get too low. Be careful what you say. And we always say you never get too high, you never get too low, you stay neutral. I mean, I've had some crazy calls. I can't even, you wouldn't even believe it. People that are homeless living in a tent that owned a company.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Like I can't even begin to tell you. It blows me away. Many things. But we say in coaching, if sometimes we're a little sideways, we're going east
Mm.
and west, and we just have to make little adjustments in our life just to get back on track. And I see that a lot. It's just little things. And people say, "Can you motivate me?" I said, "Well, I can't. You have to motivate yourself. But I'm going to give you some tools to help you. I'm going to be your support person, just like we talked about earlier, having mentors in your life."
Mhm.
So that's that's one way I look at it, is just trying to be like an extra coach, a support coach
Mhm.
for people that need extra attention.
Yeah, and help them personally have more self-awareness and better intuitiveness, and that'll probably help them, it carry over into their business.
Depending on your career, you have to really listen and
Mhm.
be attentive to the person that you're working with and be fully present in
Yeah.
the moment, and then good things will happen. And not everything's a transactional deal. Not everything
Yeah.
has to be and money will come when you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's hard for a lot of people. And so you mentioned COVID, sort of in passing. How has that changed everything from the hockey perspective? Obviously, you're doing more Zoom things, but how has COVID made you, change shifts?
We were living on the Hudson River, and we lived in New York. It was amazing for 3 years. It was great. We had beautiful views. We enjoyed it. Did stuff with the Rangers.
Mm.
Spent time with former teammates. Did a lot of stuff with the team and the alumni, and it was great. And then all of a sudden, COVID hits, and I had to get out of there because
Mm. Oh
even get
man.
want to get we couldn't even get toilet paper. I could look out my window at the grocery store, and we could not even go there. It was
Insane.
you're afraid to touch the buttons in the beginning, and you're afraid to go into the elevators. And we have our dog who's now 16. He's a
Totally.
lab, and he's every bit
Wow.
a family and more. 16 years old, and we take care of him. Uh,
I'll say. Wow.
yeah, and it was really tough. And I said it's time to go back to Charlotte. Who knows when this thing is going to turn around? Because
Yeah.
depends what news channel you watch, I think.
That's right. Well, there's definitely a shift in uh, how people feel about the divisiveness. So at least that's a good start, I think, more than anything.
That's true.
It's like in sports or with what you're doing with leadership. You got to have some balance. You can't be checking people into the boards for your entire shift because you're going to be exhausted. It's like you're banging your head against the wall for a continuous period of time. Like there's got to be some balance and some middle ground.
I agree. That's all we want is balance. Everybody wants to get back to normalcy. They want to get back to doing things that they like to do. People are out of work. It doesn't matter what profession you're in. It's tough.
It's tough.
And I don't have to say it. The world has changed, and it is. Boy, I'm looking forward to that day where I can go to a hockey game again, or or sit in a restaurant and not worry about it.
Absolutely. All right, I'll leave the stage for you after we hit this rapid fire. So let's get ready to rock and roll. All right, let's do it. You are listening to the Sports Deli with Hootie Hoot, and this is the final segment with Mike Hartman, former Stanley Cup champion with the 1994 New York Rangers. And remember, the Sports Deli podcast is sponsored by Sport RX, the leader in sport prescription eyewear. You can contact them at 888-831-5817 or find them online at sportrx.com. Don't forget at checkout, enter the code DELI10, that's DELI10 for your 10% discount. And now the famous Sports Deli podcast rapid fire this or that segment right here in the Sports Deli. Stage Deli, Davidson, Coney Island, or Golden Bowl?
I like the Coney Island, but I like Stage too. Yeah, my grandmother worked at the delis, and she worked at Northgate and some of the delis.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. Coney Island. That's cool. Those are all Oak Park, Michigan restaurants for those of you out there listening. Okay. Tony Robbins or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, Tony Robbins for sure.
Yeah. If you weren't a pro hockey player, would you have been a Major League Baseball, NBA, or NFL player?
As hard as I know it is to make pro sports, I love baseball. So baseball was a passion of mine.
Are you a Tiger fan?
Big Tiger fan. I got it. Yeah. Did I ever tell you that?
Who was your favorite Tiger?
Well, do we have 3 minutes?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So this was great. I was in the dressing room in New York, just played with the Rangers, and we lost. And when you lose, you don't really want to see anybody outside. Plus, they don't let the families down in Madison Square Garden. There's a family room up top. So Eddie Olchuk did not dress that night, and he comes down and he says to me, he goes, "Hey, somebody wants to see you outside." I said, "I'm not going outside. We just lost, and the last thing I want to do is see Mike Keenan and me talking. I just wanted to get my stuff, usually we ride the bike after. Sometimes he goes, "I'll just go outside." So I go outside, and there's a guy there, and I look at him. I'll tell you who he is. He's short, has his kid. And he said, "Hey, I just want to come up and meet you, say hello. I know you're from Detroit. I consider myself a Detroiter." I go, "Are you kidding me?" I'll tell you who he is. He goes, I could tell you, you're second baseman. I could tell you, even you were around when Rusty Staub was there. I mean, I went through the whole.
Wow.
It was Alan Trammell. He
wow.
He me after the game, and he said his kid wanted to meet a Detroit player. So I ended up giving him a stick, and I said, "This is great." He goes, "Hey, do you have kids?" I said, "Yeah, but my daughter is just born." And it's 1994. He says, "Well, what's your address?" And he sent me like 3 balls signed, a bat. Wow. And it was really nice. And I called my dad. I said, "You know what? I can't believe it. I know things have changed." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Alan Trammell waited for me after the game tonight."
Wow, that's so great.
Yeah, that's my funny baseball story. And I said, "Man, that's it." I went back in. I said, "That's kind of weird," but yeah, that was funny actually.
That'll make you forget about the loss.
Right.
Okay, if you were being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, would it be for Buffalo or New York?
It wouldn't be for New York, and I don't think it'd be for Buffalo. I don't want to put myself in that category. I maybe go visit the hockey. Let's be fair. If I go visit the Hockey Hall of Fame, they probably have a better. I'll probably get, if I went to the door and I said, "Listen, I played for the Sabres." "Oh, okay, come on in." If I said I played for the Rangers, "What's your name?" "Oh, Mike Hartman. I'm on the cup over there." "Where?" "Oh, made in China at the very bottom. If you look at the cup."
Oh my God.
In China, you could see but probably Buffalo. Buffalo was my home for 5 years.
Yeah, that's cool. Space Invaders or Pac-Man?
Oh, Pac-Man for sure. My grandmother had a thing on the TV. We were playing Pac-Man.
Did you learn the pattern where you could get to like the 8th key?
I was never that good.
You're never that good.
Was done. It was going too fast for me. I'd get dizzy trying to.
Did you ever go to Oak Park Lanes and play the Pac-Man machine in there?
I actually did go there. I did go to Park Lanes. That was, gosh, we'd go there like on a Sunday, right?
Right.
It's either they're open skating, and sometimes we'd go bowling.
That's funny. That's great.
Sports question.
Yeah.
Reverse
That's right.
it. I got to reverse it.
Yeah.
Who was the pro bowler out of Oak Park? He bowled a 300 game.
It wasn't Roth, was it?
I'll tell you, it's Ed Senior Labansky.
Oh, Ed Labansky. I did know that. Wow. Oh, man.
Can't throw trivia past me, man.
That's right. I forgot about Labansky. That's crazy. That's hilarious. Okay. Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Full Metal Jacket, or Breakfast Club?
Oh, the Ridgemont High for sure.
Classic. Second best player to ever play hockey from Oak Park, besides you?
Well, I don't know if I'm. We just talked about Nadler's son. He's working his way.
That's true. That's right.
Who else is from? I don't know too many other hockey players.
So Nadler. Okay.
Yes,
that's solid. Yeah, he's going to get there at some point.
We're all pulling for him.
Yeah, for sure. Michigan State Spartans. You just got drafted. Okay, the 1994 New York Rangers winning a Stanley Cup in 7 games over the Vancouver Canucks, their first since 1940, or the 1980 Miracle on Ice. Do you believe in miracles, as told by Al Michaels in the Olympics at Lake Placid, New York, 4-3 over the Soviets?
I mean, I've had a couple friends on that. I was 13 years old, and I remember that day like it was no tomorrow when they won. So I was really happy. It was that was one of the biggest things in sports. Yeah. And to beat them was incredible. I played with Mike Ramsey, and we played in Buffalo 5 years. Boy, it was a big time in sports history for all sports when USA won.
Yeah, it definitely propelled the sport. Mario or Wayne?
You know what? I really like Wayne Gretzky. I know him, but Mario Lemieux was so hard to play against. He was 6'5" with that long reach, and it was harder. But two amazing players. I mean, two great players. I'd have to say Mario.
He was the best player you ever played against?
Well, there was guys that were harder to play against. Who? That were big and strong, like Cam Neely, because I played against him so much. And he was like, he's 6'3" or so, big and strong, and he didn't move. And I had to play the left wing. He was on the right.
He didn't move.
Move him. And he would lift you up. I remember when we used to get the whole guys up in the NHL, talking to Mike Ramsey. So we were playing in the Boston Garden. Cam Neely took me and he threw me over, and he went up and he put almost Mike Ramsey, who's about 6'3", 230, through the glass, almost killed him. And Mike said, "Why didn't you hold him up?" I said, "I tried.
I tried
harder because this guy he was powerful back then."
Wow. Yeah. Scooby-Doo or Tom and Jerry?
Ooh, I like Tom and Jerry. I liked it. You're a sports guy. Who backed up Patrick Ewing during some of those years? What Detroit guy?
Wow, that's a great question.
Tim McCormick.
Oh, Tim McCormick. That's right.
He played for Michigan.
That's right, Michigan.
University of Michigan.
That's right. Wow, Tim McCormick. That's, man, you busting out the trivia. So you're choosing Ewing over Shaq?
No. That was a trivia. I had to reverse it to you, but no, Shaq was unbelievable.
Yeah,
the guys.
He was. Superman, Spider-Man, or Batman?
I'm gonna have to go with Superman.
Interesting. Slinky or Etch-a-Sketch?
We weren't allowed to have Slinkies in the house, so we were throwing. My brother and I would throw them at each other. So the Etch-a-Sketch was good, and my sister would play it, and yeah.
So Simon, Atari, or Rubik's Cube?
Crazy. I just talked to a guy today who's a coach, and he teaches people to do the Rubik's Cube in 3 minutes. I'm going to go with the Rubik's Cube just because of him, because that blew me away that he teaches people to focus and do that Rubik's Cube in like 3 minutes. It's amazing.
I got another Oak Park story. I don't know if you knew Mike Mandel, but he went to Oak Park High, and he was on That's Incredible, that old show, and he did the Rubik's Cube in like 26 seconds. Crazy. Really? And he was colorblind.
No way.
Swear to God, you can find it on YouTube somewhere. Mike Mandel, Oak Park, YouTube from That's Incredible. It's unbelievable. Okay, board games or puzzles?
I like puzzles. I get bored with the board games.
What's the biggest puzzle you've ever done? How many pieces?
30 pieces. No, I'm kidding. I don't do good.
30 pieces.
My ex-wife was she was Mensa. So she'd pull out these puzzles that had like, I don't know if it was like 13, I don't know, 13, 1400 pieces. I swear it seemed like it was unbelievable. And she put them together. And she made me take an IQ test once. She goes, because she was really, one thing, she was smart. I'm not going to deny that. And she says, she was Mensa. She didn't have to study for a test. She'd look at it for 5 minutes and she'd memorize it. I go, how do you do that? My daughter's like that. My son's like me. We got to study for like 6 hours.
Right. Me and you both.
Yeah.
Waffles from Waffle House, French toast with challah, or pancakes from IHOP?
I'll take the challah toast. That sounds good, like right now.
Yeah, totally. All right. Family ties, different strokes, facts of life, or silver spoon?
Is my girlfriend here? I like the facts of life. I had a crush on.
or Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe or Bobby Orr, you said?
Bobby Orr, yeah.
I mean, Gordie Howe is, Detroit guy, but watching Bobby Orr play back in those days, unbelievable how he could skate and handle the puck and dominate. Yeah. He was tough too. People don't realize how tough he was.
Totally. Addams Family or Popeye?
I like Popeye.
Eat your spinach. Maurice the Rocket, Richard Riot, or Cam Neely, or Marty McSorley?
Ooh, Marty scared me too. I got the Marty McSorley is a funny story. I was just talking to my former agent. Well, he wasn't my agent when I played Ronnie Salser. We still talk, and we had a really good conversation just recently because I'm going to be interviewing him on my show, and his parents were in Nazi Germany in Auschwitz.
Wow.
And I was telling him the story that I was walking in the LA Forum, and Jay Miller, who was one of the toughest guys in hockey, and Marty McSorley were there. And I walked by and I said to Marty, because he played junior in Belleville, where I played junior, I said, "Good morning, Marty. How you doing?" He goes, "Hi, Mike." And I said, "Hey, Jay, how are you?" He goes, "Go F yourself." I said, "Okay." I fought him he was a heavyweight, right? I was a middleweight guy. So then I'm walking down the hall and he goes, "Hey, Mike."
You fought him. Yeah.
This is Jay Miller. Jay Miller said, "Hey, Mike, are you going to fight like a man tonight? Or are you going to hold on?" I said, "I'm probably going to hold on." He goes, "That's what I thought."
Yeah. Hold on for dear life, especially back in the day.
You're right.
Wendell Clark or Bob Pro?
Either one of those guys you don't want to fight. I mean, it's not fun. Wendell would fight to hurt you, and Bob, depending what kind of mood he was in, he'd fight to kill you. So I'm gonna have bad dreams. Now you're gonna have me thinking like, it's like I'm gonna have bad dreams tonight of those guys.
Check your mouth. Make sure your teeth. Oh man, Brendan Shanahan or Matthew Barnaby?
Oh man, for toughness. Oh, I got Brendan Shanahan.
Yeah. Patrick Waugh, Dominic Hasek, or Martin Brodeur?
I have to say Patrick Waugh, because I played against him so much. I was in that Adams division against the Montreal Canadiens, and I played him 8 times a year plus playoffs, 4 at one stadium, 4 at the other when we had that old Adams division. And man, was he good. He was.
Yeah, really, he had great, just everything, fast twitch, instincts. I mean, he was amazing. Not many goalies, do we talk about as being fun to watch, but he was definitely one of them. Brady Bunch or All in the Family?
Oh, Brady Bunch for sure.
You prefer your hockey stick to be wood, fiberglass, carbon, Kevlar, aluminum, or graphite?
No, I did well with the Kevlar. I like. Yeah, I would. I mean, it's funny. We just talked about that yesterday. Like the wood sticks, I don't know how you can get the shots off. I mean, it's amazing how guys did. I mean, they fired the puck with that, but now look what they use, and that puck just zips right off your stick. But
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wrist shot or slap shot?
I was a wrister guy.
Mm.
Wrister. I didn't take a lot of slap shots. You don't have time in the NHL to take slap shots. They're
No,
on you really
not
quick.
totally. So did you prefer skating on ice halfway into the period or right after the Zamboni came in between periods?
Oh no, I wanted that ice nice and slick for me. I needed every advantage I can get.
That's right. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, a Zamboni is the machine that smooths the ice and cleans it and things like. Have you ever ridden a Zamboni?
Never. Can you believe that?
That's surprising, actually.
Never been on.
That's crazy. All right. Well, it's been great. It's been great having you. And anything else that we didn't talk about that you want to share with the world? We've been in 15 countries, and we talk a lot about leadership and equality and different things. And it's been great to have you.
No, it's been great, Mike, and you got a great show, and keep it going. It's entertaining, and that's what we need, especially today. You have to, hopefully everyone's going to keep listening because we need that. It's stressful enough. So let's keep doing the good work, what you're doing, and keep it going.
Yeah, you as well. I'll be listening to the next podcast. Can't wait. I've listened to about 6 of them so far. I'm trying to catch up. You had so many.
Thank you. Thanks. And yeah, looking forward to connecting soon for sure.
Yeah, it sounds good. All right. Well, when you're in San Diego, let's have lunch.
Done deal. And I will be, when things get better, my father's living there. He's in Alpine. So
Yep.
Done deal for sure.
Absolutely. Anything I can do for him too during this pandemic, like seriously, let me know. I'll drive up there. Anything, I'm happy to help.
Oh, thanks. That's he's fine. But do me a favor. If you ever get to Jake's on the water, you know where that is?
Oh yeah.
Lamar.
Oh yeah.
Poseidon is right next door. We spend a lot of time in California. Take a picture for me because that's just breathtaking.
Oh,
Jake's on the water. Love it there.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Take care.
Take care. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Mike. All right. Bye-bye. Special thanks to Mike Hartman, 1994 Stanley Cup champ, for joining us here in the Sports Deli today. Remember, you can always send us an email to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram at Mike Hootner or on Twitter at Michael Hootner. And until next time, please mask up and remember, Black Lives Matter. Peace.